I stared at the Bloomberg terminal in my private office, watching as QuantumCore Technologies' stock price hit another record high. Market cap? $4.2 billion. Not bad for a silly patent my parents had sold behind my back 5 years ago. My phone buzzed. Another message from Mom. "Sweetie, please call us. We need to discuss the family's investment opportunity." I let out a bitter laugh. Now they wanted to talk about investments. Where was this interest when I was working 20-hour days in our garage developing the quantum processing algorithm that would revolutionize artificial intelligence? The memory of that day still burned fresh in my mind. 5 years ago, we sold your patent, Dad announced casually over dinner, as if he was discussing the weather. That company you kept refusing to meet with, they offered $10,000, a very generous sum for some computer scribblings. I froze, my fork halfway to my mouth. "You did what?" "It's for the best, dear," Mom added, smiling that patronizing smile she'd perfected over years of dismissing my work. "Now you can focus on a real career. The Anderson firm is still holding that junior accountant position for you." "That patent was mine," I whispered, my voice shaking. "How could you even access it?" "We're your parents," Dad said firmly. "You were using our garage, our electricity, our resources, and you're still listed as a dependent on our taxes. The patent office accepted our signatures." I pushed back from the table, my dinner forgotten. "Do you have any idea what you've done? That algorithm could revolutionize quantum computing. It's worth $10,000, apparently, which we've put into a savings account for your future. You should be thanking us." I ran to my room, well, the guest room they'd converted my bedroom into when I started my computer phase, and checked my emails frantically. There it was. Official notification that patent number US1-0458-7922B2 had been transferred to Tech Corp Industries. My life's work, sold for less than the cost of Mom's latest handbag. Present day. The intercom buzzed, interrupting my memories. "Ms. Chen, your 2 p.m. is here. The Tech Corp acquisition team." I straightened my Armani suit, paid for with the proceeds of the very algorithm my parents had dismissed. "Send them in." 5 executives filed into my office, their expressions a mix of respect and fear. They knew why they were here. Everyone in the tech world knew about the patent war between QuantumCore and Tech Corp. "Ms. Chen," their lead counsel began, "we appreciate you taking this meeting about the patent situation." I held up my hand. "Let's be clear. You bought a patent from unauthorized sellers. My parents had no legal right to transfer my intellectual property, as your legal team has now discovered." "We offered them $10,000. I cut in. "For an algorithm currently powering AI systems worth billions. Quite a bargain, wouldn't you say?" My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. "The Country Club membership committee meets tomorrow. As a successful tech entrepreneur, your membership would be guaranteed. Call us." I turned back to the Tech Corp team. "Your company has 2 options. Either return my patent and face the consequences of 5 years of unauthorized use, or, their CEO leaned forward, "or QuantumCore acquires Tech Corp. My algorithm, my terms." They paled. Everyone knew QuantumCore's acquisitions were more like hostile takeovers. We'd grown from a one-woman startup to a tech giant by reclaiming what was stolen from me piece by piece. "You can't be serious," their CFO sputtered. "I'm a 28-year-old CEO who just watched my algorithm make your company billions, while my parents spent 5 years telling everyone I was finding myself." I smiled coldly. "Shall we discuss terms?" As the Tech Corp team filed out of my office, thoroughly shaken by my acquisition terms, my assistant Jennifer brought in the afternoon reports. "Your parents called again," she handed me a stack of papers. "They mentioned something about a family investment fund they want to discuss." I glanced at the latest text from Mom. "Darling, we've always believed in your potential. Let's discuss how the family can support your company's growth." Always believed in my potential? I remembered differently. 4 years ago, a startup. Mom's voice dripped with disappointment. Honey, you have an accounting degree. The Anderson firm is not where I belong, I interrupted, showing them my business plan. I've developed a new quantum processing algorithm. With proper funding, enough. Dad slammed his hand on the table. We sold that computer nonsense for your own good. Time to join the real world. I looked around their perfect suburban home, paid for by Dad's safe corporate job and Mom's family money. The real world is changing. Technology is for people who can't succeed in traditional careers, Mom finished. Really, dear, what will we tell the country club committee? That night, I moved out of their house and into a tiny studio apartment. They'd sold my patent, but they couldn't sell my brain. I started coding again, building something new, something better. Present day. The TechCorp acquisition papers are ready for review, Jennifer announced, pulling me back to the present, and the Wall Street Journal is requesting a comment on the rumors. I pulled up the latest market data. QuantumCore stock had jumped another 3% on acquisition speculation. My personal net worth now exceeded $2.1 billion. Miss Chen, she hesitated. There's one more thing. Your parents are in the lobby. I closed my eyes, remembering every dismissive comment, every condescending smile, every time they told relatives I was still finding my path while I was secretly building an empire. Send them up. They entered my office like they owned it. Mom in her designer suit, Dad with his executive swagger. 5 years hadn't changed their attitude, just their desperation to claim connection to my success. Sweetheart, Mom began, eyeing my corner office with its panoramic city views. You've done so well for yourself. We always knew. Did you? I interrupted, pulling up an old email on my screen. Like when you told Aunt Sarah I was playing entrepreneur while living off your charity? Dad shifted uncomfortably. Now, that's ancient history. We're here to discuss the family's involvement in QuantumCore. Family involvement? I laughed softly. Like when you involved yourselves in selling my patent. That was a misunderstanding, Mom waved her hand dismissively. We were only thinking of your future. My future? I stood up, walking to the window overlooking the city where QuantumCore's buildings dominated the skyline. Your father and I have drafted a proposal. Mom pulled out a folder, her manicured hands trembling slightly. A family investment trust. We could pool our resources. Resources? I turned from the window. Like the $10,000 you got for my patent. Have you calculated the return on investment you denied yourselves? I pulled up QuantumCore's valuation charts on my office's wall screen. That algorithm you sold? It's now the foundation of our quantum AI platform. Current market value, $4.2 billion. That's a 42,000% return you missed out on. Dad's face reddened. Now, see here. We were trying to protect you from what, Dad? Success? Independence? The ability to prove you wrong? I pressed another button, displaying TechCorp's declining stock price. The company you sold my patent to? I'm acquiring them next week. Their board is voting on my terms tomorrow. Mom gasped. But TechCorp, they're massive. We're massive, I corrected her. Until they built their entire AI division on stolen intellectual property. My intellectual property. My phone buzzed. Another message from the country club committee. They'd been desperately trying to recruit me since QuantumCore went public, the same club that had rejected my membership 3 years ago because entrepreneurship wasn't a real career. We understand we made mistakes, Mom tried again, but we're family. Surely that counts for something. Family. I pulled up more emails on the screen. Like when you told the Andersons I was having a mental breakdown because I refused their accounting job? Or when you declared me financially incompetent to try accessing my bank accounts? Dad stepped forward, his business negotiation face on. The past is the past. We're offering you an opportunity to bring the family together under the QuantumCore umbrella. I sat back in my chair, studying them. 5 years ago, they'd seen me as a failure, a disappointment, someone who needed to be saved from her own dreams. Now they saw me as a ticket back to the success they tried to deny me. Jennifer, I called through the intercom, please bring in the TechCorp acquisition papers and those old patent transfer documents. My assistant entered with 2 folders, one thick with acquisition details, the other thin with the paper trail of my parents' betrayal. Let's talk about family, I said quietly, opening the old patent documents. Let's talk about how you forged my signature, claimed guardianship over my adult self, and sold my intellectual property without consent. Mom's perfectly composed face cracked slightly. We had your best interest. At heart? Really? Because my legal team has a different interpretation. They call it intellectual property theft, fraud, and unauthorized transfer of assets. You wouldn't. We're your parents. Parents who sold their daughter's billion-dollar patent for the price of a used car? Parents who spent years undermining my dreams while I built an empire? Parents who now want to claim a piece of what they tried to destroy? The silence in my office was deafening. Outside, the sun glinted off QuantumCore's quantum processing center, where hundreds of servers ran the advanced version of the algorithm they'd sold for pocket change. You don't understand what it was like, Mom's voice cracked, watching you waste your potential on computer code while all your peers were building respectable careers. I pulled up another screen. QuantumCore's employee directory. See these names? Over 5,000 of the brightest minds in quantum computing, AI, and advanced algorithms, all working for the daughter you claimed was wasting her life. We made a mistake, Dad admitted, his corporate bravado finally crashing, but we're here to make it right, to be a family again. A family. I pressed another button, displaying their social media posts from the past 5 years. Like these posts about your troubled daughter, the hints about mental illness when I refused to follow your career plans, the snide comments about entrepreneurs living in fantasies. Mom flinched, seeing her own words projected on the wall. We were worried about you. No, you were worried about your reputation, about what the country club would think, about how my choices reflected on you. I stood up, walking to a small safe embedded in my office wall. Inside was a single folder, the original notes and diagrams for my quantum algorithm. While you were spreading rumors about my mental state, I was revolutionizing quantum computing. While you were apologizing for my career choices, I was building a company that would change the world. And while you were selling my patent for $10,000, I was already developing something even better. Dad's eyes fixed on the folder. What do you mean, something better? The algorithm you sold, it was version 1.0, a breakthrough, yes, but primitive compared to what I developed after you taught me that valuable lesson about trust. I opened the folder, showing them the complex equations and diagrams. This is QuantumCore's current technology, worth billions now, but trillions once fully implemented, the kind of innovation that changes human history. And we could be part of it, Mom said eagerly, as a family. That's why you're really here, isn't it? Not to apologize, not to make amends, but because you saw QuantumCore's stock price, because your country club friends are investing in tech, because you finally realized what you threw away. My phone buzzed again. The TechCorp board had approved the acquisition. In 1 week, I would own the company that had profited from my stolen patent. We're prepared to offer our full investment portfolio, Dad said, pulling out another folder. Everything we have to show our commitment. I took the folder, glancing at the numbers. Their entire net worth, the house, the cars, the precious country club membership, was less than what QuantumCore generated in an hour. Let me tell you a story, I said, sitting back down, about a young woman who believed in herself when no one else did, who lost everything but kept coding, kept building, kept pushing forward. I pulled up QuantumCore's original business plan, the one they'd refused to read 5 years ago. This woman worked 20-hour days in a tiny studio apartment, eating ramen noodles and drinking cheap coffee. She coded while others partied, built while others slept, dreamed while others settled. The screens around my office lit up with QuantumCore's global presence, our research centers, quantum processing facilities, AI development labs. She took the betrayal of those closest to her and turned it into fuel. Every dismissive comment became motivation. Every condescending smile became determination. Every attempt to force her into a respectable career became proof that she had to succeed. Mom's eyes filled with tears. "Sweetie, we never meant to admit you were wrong, to acknowledge that your daughter saw the future while you clung to the past, to accept that success doesn't always look like a corner office at an accounting firm." I pressed another button, and the screens showed QuantumCore's global presence. Our research centers, quantum processing facilities, AI development labs. While you were telling everyone I was finding myself, I found something greater. While you were apologizing for my choices, I was making history. And while you were selling my dreams for $10,000, I was building them into billions. Dad tried one last time. "We're still your parents." "No," I said quietly. "You're shareholders in Tech Corp, aren't you? Small investors thinking you were profiting from my stolen work, which means next week you'll be part of QuantumCore's acquisition package." Their faces paled as the implications sunk in. "Your shares will be converted at current market value, about $15,000 worth by my calculation, a 50% return on your original investment in my silly patent. Congratulations." But we're family," Mom whispered. "Family believes in each other. Family supports dreams. Family doesn't sell someone's life work for pocket change." I stood up, signaling the end of our meeting. "Jennifer will show you out. Oh, and about the country club membership committee, tell them I declined their offer. I prefer to build my own clubs these days." As they walked out, shoulders slumped in defeat, I turned back to my screens. QuantumCore stock had hit another record high. The quantum processing centers hummed with innovation. And somewhere in the digital ether, the algorithm they'd sold for $10,000 continued